Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy is heralded as one of the best superhero trilogies of all time. Batman Begins is now 20 years old, and does it still hold up after all that time?
It is a solid Batman movie. We got a really good Batman. I like Christian Bale. And I like him both as Batman or Bruce Wayne. I love Alfred. I think Michael Caine was greatly cast as Alfred. And if anybody screams Batman Year One out of the comic book pages, and I've read that shit countless times throughout my life, is Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon.
Fuck yeah.
He's not yet.
Hell yeah.
But if you read that graphic novel, or if you've ever even seen the animated movie, dude, if there's one guy that they nailed in this movie, it's this guy. I mean, down
without a doubt
to the look.
Perfect.
Especially like when he's sitting in his office, like looking out his window or even going to the roof. That is Jim Gordon from Frank Miller's Batman Year One. No fucking question. Also the city, like where Nolan chose to film. A lot of this is filmed in Chicago. You know, that's like when Bruce is like coming back to Gotham, that skyline. Mm-hmm. That's, yeah, I mean, he nailed it. One of the things that I really like about this movie is that as opposed to the Joel Schumacher or Tim Burton, that you were like, damn, it's always like the same three streets every time the Batmobile is like rolling around. Yeah. Because it was filmed on a lot. Here, you don't get the sense of that. You really feel like Batman's out there doing his thing on different rooftops. Because again, in the Burton movies, it's always the same couple of buildings that you see. It's always the same three streets. Here, you really get the sense that we're in the real world, and I really, really dug that. Another thing that I really liked was the incorporation of Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. I thought that was cool.
Really well done.
I really think that no one else could have nailed that role better than the banter between Morgan Freeman and Christian Bale, where he knows, but he doesn't say he knows. But he also tells Bruce, just don't dick me around. I love that. You know, because what else would he, a billionaire playboy, be using all this crap for? I love that. I also
especially
love
when you see on the
fact
news
that,
the next day.
Yeah, exactly. I also love the fact that they don't treat the audience like we're idiots. You know, like it's not like, oh yeah, Bruce Wayne just built all this crap in his Batcave by himself. No, it's he owns this giant company that is in everything from pharmaceutical to weaponry and all kinds of stuff. So it would make a lot more sense that, you know, a bunch of the stuff, including the Batsuit, is already there. And he's just like, man, let me just borrow this.
With that in mind, real quick, with the Batsuit, do you like that he took like the arm plates from the League of Assassins?
I do. I dig that because it makes sense. Because otherwise, there's a lot of things that this movie does really well. Like, for instance, like what Griffin just said. So we all know that Batman has these, like, fin type things on all of his Batsuits. Every iteration of the Batsuits except for the Robert Pattinson suit has it. And it's, you know, kind of a lore into the fact that he's a bat, et cetera, et cetera. But the way they go about it here is in the League of Assassins or the League of Shadows or whatever the hell you want to call it, because this movie does make you question a lot of stuff, is they're incorporated into their ninja suits. And the way they do it is really good because they do it because it helps you hook onto crap and you can climb. And so it's not like, oh yeah, it's like a bat, but it does give the shape and look of it. So Bruce is just like, well, I'm Batman now, so he just slides those gauntlets into his bat suit, and it looks really dope. Doesn't have him in the sequel, but that's a different one. We don't actually see Batman until, man, like 30 minutes into the movie, but the way they go about it is pretty cool. Like I really dug that. I semi-dug Liam Neeson. He plays Ducard. And then, if you don't know by now, you just never cared. He really is just Ra's al Ghul, and it's Ra's al Ghul. It's not fucking Ra's al Ghul. I don't care what Christopher Nolan says.
I get why they pronounce it as Ra's, but it's Ra's. It's full on Ra's, and it's the League of Assassins, not the League of Shadows. It still trips me up to this day. Everyone and I had like a full 5 to 10 minute conversation trying to figure out which one's actually from the comics and which one's from this movie. It was a nightmare. And the funny thing is, they're both in the comics. But the League of Shadows. League of Assassins. League of Shadows is from this movie and then appeared in the comics. League of Assassins is the original one from the 60s. There we go. Everything Edward said, I do 100% agree with. I think the casting of the characters are all really good. Even for the characters we don't like, I still think the casting was pretty good. One of the characters in particular that Edward has not mentioned is Cillian Murphy. I'm a big fan of Cillian Murphy. I think for what he did, he was a good Scarecrow. Even though he was one of the main antagonists for this film, I think he was so underutilized, and I think that's such a shame, especially with the movies to come. I just wish they did more with him. I really wanted to see more, and God, I wish we did, because this is a good setup for him. It just sucks that it doesn't really continue much. But Cillian Murphy's such a great actor. I love him in almost everything I see. I also, with Batman, really enjoy how we start off by seeing him at the end of his training journey. How we see him go from this billionaire orphan to really try to get to know how a criminal thinks, what they feel like, to actually try to struggle. And then we see him in this prison, pretty much just using it as training. I dug that. I really enjoyed seeing that before Ra's al Ghul picked him up. I think that was really cool, especially since we more often just hear about it, but actually seeing it and seeing the progression of it, I really, really enjoyed. Another character I do like is I like Thomas Wayne in this movie. He's definitely not as memorable as like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, to say the least, but I really liked how kind he was, how he was more of a doctor and wanted to help people rather than a businessman. I like how they showed that and showed little ways how he helped, even though if that may have been taken advantage of later. I enjoyed that. Now starting to get into the bad things, that the character of Rachel I can go of two ways with. Growing up, I enjoyed her, because these are the movies I grew up with. I grew up on this Batman. But then starting to learn more about comics, reading them, talking more with Edward, I look at that character and I'm just not as entertained with her as I used to be. I think in the context of the movie, she fits. I 100% get that. It's just, I wish we got Harvey Dent in this movie, and I wish, because growing up, Bruce's best friend was Harvey Dent. That would have been really cool to see here, especially then leading into the next movie. That would have been so much fun to see. I think Rachel, she does the job, but I feel like they could have done more with the character if they really wanted to. They kind of did a lot of tropes and used her for a lot of plot convenience, but otherwise couldn't really stand too well on her own. And I just wish they did more with that. With the League of Shadows and Liam Neeson, again, I think Liam Neeson's amazing. I wish we saw more of the Ra's al Ghul from the comics, see him get to fight a little bit more seriously, see him in his really cool, I like his comic costume, see him in the comic costume, see the Lazarus Pit, see anything but just the League of Assassins in kind of a fight on the train. Overall, I mean, I think it's a really good movie. It's just, there are just some small nitpicks I have that's more just so, why did they make a new character when they have the existing characters from the comics? That's my biggest issue.
See, this movie does things for me that are odd. It's very enjoyable at times, but there are also things that I can't help but to nitpick at them. One of the things is, we get this hyper-realistic, grounded Batman. And
I don't know if I'd say hyper-realistic, but more realistic than I guess Adam West, but...
More so than what we were used to, because we're coming off of the Burton movies, the show movies,
fair enough. You're right.
And also Batman the Animated Series. So here, I mean, we get the Scarecrow kind of. He's really just wearing a Scarecrow mask, and he's just wearing the shit that I'm wearing right now. That's pretty much it. And he does that twice. The second time he uses his fear gas, he gets gassed. So that never really worked. There are things like, the League of Shadows and stuff like that. It was pretty clear early on that we were never going to see the Lazarus Pit, or we were never going to see, Ra's al Ghul. I mean, he claims his organization is hundreds of years old or thousands of years old, but he himself is just a regular mortal man, which that always bugs me. I still think that, Liam played it great, but I was hoping for that Ra's al Ghul that I'm used to reading of in the comics and from the animated series, and I knew we weren't going to get that. Rachel Dawes, I never liked the character. It was supposed to be David S. Goyer, who co-wrote the script, wanted Harvey Dent because he wanted to establish Harvey Dent, because this is Nolan's interpretation of Batman Year One, and for those of us who have read it, Harvey Dent's there. He's already a part of it. In some lore, he's Bruce's best friend, and others he's just he comes along later on and they become buddies. But I definitely think he should have been here. He should have been pre-established in this movie, because in the second movie, we'll talk about that some other time. But I just never liked the character of Rachel Dawes. Oh, all of a sudden, Bruce has this buddy that he grew up with. That never happened. And I guess they took some liberties with it. It's the love interest of Batman, but they could have given him a love interest
It's not a good love interest.
without having her have anything to do with his childhood. Another thing that bugged me, and I own the Blu-rays and the DVDs to all of these movies, is Christopher Nolan, he didn't want a Batmobile in the movie. It's just David S. Goyer and one of the producers, when they read the script, they loved it, but they were like, hey, dude, there's no Batmobile here. You have to have a Batmobile. I mean, there's no way Warner Brothers is going to let you get away with that. He tried, and Warner Brothers was like, no, you have to, one final condition, you have to include a Batmobile. So he hurried up and rewrote some of the script, and then he came up with this idea of the Tumbler, which the Tumbler is fine. I don't have an issue with the Tumbler. But after the Tumbler, all of a sudden, all of the Batmobiles started becoming more militarized, which I thought was kind of weird for a little bit. And the fighting style. My main issue with this movie is the fighting style. So we've seen the movie, most of us are pretty familiar with Batman. So his parents died, depending on which iteration, when he's 9 or 12 years old. And he takes off, he leaves Gotham and takes it upon himself to train in science, mathematics, and, all sorts of fighting styles. And so this is a guy, by the time we catch it back up to him, it's going to be his 30th birthday, if I'm correct. So he's spent pretty significant amount of time, going out there and training. And even when he meets up with Ducard, who he believes to be Ducard, even Ducard tells him, he's like, you've been trained in various forms of martial arts, whatever, I'm just going to complete your training. And by the time he actually becomes Batman, we see him do some cool shit. I'm not dogging what he does. He's dropping out of, the roof and picking bad guys up, and he does some pretty cool shit. But when it comes to hand-to-hand fighting, and I told Griffin this, and if you guys don't believe me, check it out. It's in the behind the scenes. You could check it out on YouTube.
I looked. I watched it last night.
The choreographers for this movie, it could have been anyone, man. They could have trained Christian Bale in Muay Thai, Taekwondo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is immensely effective, or boxing, anything. They came up with this fucking fighting style called KC fighting, which essentially is close range fighting, if you will, according to them. Trust me, don't use this shit. It's like you're going to get your asses kicked. Essentially, and you've seen the movie, Batman, throughout the entire trilogy, he's doing this shit. He lowers his head, and his main weapons are his elbows. He just, elbows you. And according to the choreographer, it's very effective if you're at a bar. Yeah, like Batman's going to be at a bar all the time ordering a drink, and someone just starts shit with you. You could just elbow them. I've been in martial arts since I was fairly young, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you get into a fight with someone close range, this is not going to be that fucking effective.
It's extremely close range. Close range is an understatement.
If you're fighting with a boxer and you're doing this shit, you're going to get knocked out. Just that's what's going to happen to you. So that's my main issue. And if this was just some ordinary dude, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But again, this is Batman, and this is Batman in his prime. He just came back to Gotham. He's, taking on vigilantes. He's got all this tech from Wayne Enterprises, and he learned all this stuff. And this is his most effective moves.
But the weird thing is that he does throw punches in the movies, just none of them land. I don't get why they would even do that in the first place. If you're gonna have him throw punches to not land, why wouldn't he throw punches and then having some of them land? It just doesn't make sense, and it's so inconsistent with it.
And he does this shit through, even in The Dark Knight, when he goes to rescue Rachel at his penthouse, and he fights Joker and his men. He's doing this shit, and Joker stabs him somewhere because how effective is this? So that's my main issue with it. I mean, I've seen a lot of comments about Batman's fighting styles, but this and I'm not saying that like Val Kilmer, rest in peace, was an amazing fighter, but this is just not effective, and they were trying to go for this realistic stuff. It's just that took me out of it a bit. That's one of my main issues with it. But other than that, I really love the suit.
Yeah.
I did have one gripe with it. So like in the back, it's kind of like Pantherish. It's like arched. So even when he's standing up straight, it just looks weird. When he's crouching on a rooftop or something, it looks great. I love the cape, man. I love the
cape's really cool.
The grappling gun, and it's explained how it works, which has never been done in a movie. But those are my issues with it. Another issue is Carmine Falcone. Tom Wilkinson is a great actor. But I just think that I still want to see Robert De Niro cast as Carmine Falcone somewhere. Maybe now he's a little bit too old for it. But, man, if you've seen The Long Halloween, or if you've read the graphic novel and you've ever seen movies like Heat or The Godfather, you know I'm right.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for watching. What do you guys think about KC fighting styles? Honestly, you can never unsee it. I never noticed it before, but I can't. unsee
It's
it now.
fucking bananas.
Let us know what you think about Batman Begins, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bells. Next week, we're going to be reviewing The Dark Knight.